Hidden between the legendary peaks of Cho Oyu and Mount Everest, Giachung Kong rises to an astonishing 7,952 meters, making it the 15th highest mountain in the world. Despite its immense size, Giachung Kong is often overlooked. It holds a unique distinction: it is the highest peak under 8,000 meters. Just shy of that magical number, it misses the fame of the world's elite 8,000ers but remains a majestic force in the Himalayas. Located along the border of Nepal and Tibet, Giachung Kong is part of the Mahalungur Himal section of the Great Himalayan Range. Unlike its taller neighbors, Giachung Kong sees very few climbers. Its remote location and lower profile keep it shrouded in mystery and silence, away from the bustling routes of Everest and Cho Oyu. The mountain was first successfully summited in 1964 by a Japanese expedition, a relatively late conquest compared to many other Himalayan giants. The climb was considered a significant achievement at the time, yet Giachung Kong never attracted the crowds that flocked to the more famous peaks. Some say it's missing 48 meters. The difference between its height and the 8,000 meter mark has left it in a shadow, a giant hiding in plain sight. Stories from local Sherpas and Tibetan communities speak of Giachung Kong as a sacred, sleeping mountain. Legends say it is a guardian watching over the quieter valleys, offering protection but demanding respect. Unlike Everest, which is often seen as a prize to conquer, Giachung Kong is viewed more as a silent watcher, one that does not challenge humans to test their limits but rather invites those who truly seek peace and solitude. The mountain is also tied to myths of balance and humility. Some local tales suggest that Giachung Kong was once taller but chose to lower itself out of compassion, allowing Everest to stand as the world's highest peak. Whether symbolic or not, this story reflects the mountain's quiet dignity. Giachung Kong may not hold the world's attention, but perhaps that's where its beauty lies. It remains an untamed, lesser-known wonder, calling not to the crowds but to the few who seek to walk the less-traveled paths of the Himalayas. Its ridges, glaciers, and pristine slopes stand as a tribute to nature's quieter masterpieces, powerful, breathtaking, and content to exist without the weight of global fame. Shishe Pangma stands tall at 8,027 meters, making it the 14th highest mountain in the world and the lowest of the legendary 8,000ers. Yet, despite its height, Shishe Pangma remains one of the least known among these great peaks. Part of this quiet reputation is because it lies entirely within Tibet, hidden behind the restricted borders of China, where for many years, foreign climbers were not allowed to set foot. The name Shishe Pangma holds deep cultural meaning. In Tibetan, it is often translated as the crest above the grassy plains, though some local interpretations speak of a far more tragic origin. One ancient story tells of a famine that struck the nearby villages. With no food left, the people survived by eating shisha, which means meat of dead animals, and pangma, meaning leftover barley. Over time, this story of survival and struggle was woven into the name of the mountain itself, a permanent reminder of both hardship and resilience. Shishe Pangma remained untouched by climbers longer than most of its 8,000er siblings. It was not until 1964 that a Chinese expedition successfully reached its summit, making it the last of the world's 14 highest mountains to be climbed. The mountain's late discovery by the climbing community adds to its sense of mystery. Even today, it is often called the Forgotten Giant because it doesn't draw the same international attention as Everest or K2. But for those who venture here, Shishe Pangma offers breathtaking beauty. Unlike the savage faces of other Himalayan peaks, Shishe Pangma is known for its graceful slopes, long snowfields, and sweeping ridgelines. It is often described as one of the most elegant mountains in the region, and during sunrise, its snow-capped summit glows in soft gold, creating a serene and almost spiritual atmosphere. Local Tibetan legends describe Shishe Pangma as a sleeping goddess. Unlike other mountains where fierce protector spirits are said to dwell, Shishe Pangma is seen as peaceful and calm. It is said that the mountain's gentle appearance reflects the spirit that inhabits it, one that encourages balance and harmony, rather than competition and conquest. Although the mountain offers routes that are considered less technically challenging compared to other giants, Shishe Pangma demands deep respect. Rapid weather changes, hidden crevasses, and the thin air at extreme altitude remind every climber that this is still a mighty Himalayan peak. Shishe Pangma's quiet grace, isolated location, and rich tapestry of stories make it a mountain that speaks to those in search of something beyond glory, a place where beauty, myth, and history meet in silent splendor. At 8,035 meters, Gusher Broom 2 is the 13th highest mountain in the world and one of the most beautiful peaks in the Karakoram range. Known as K4 during the earliest surveys, Gusher Broom 2 is part of the Gusher Broom Massif, a cluster of towering giants that rise above the remote, icy Baltoro Glacier on the border between Pakistan and China. The name Gusher Broom is often misinterpreted to mean shining wall, but in the Balti language, it more accurately translates to a beautiful mountain. This description fits perfectly. With its gracefully sculpted ridges, sweeping snowfields, and majestic summit, Gusher Broom 2 is a vision of alpine beauty, striking a balance between power and elegance. The mountain's climbing history began in 1956, when an Austrian expedition led by Fritz Moravec made the first successful ascent. They tackled the peak via the southwest ridge, establishing a route that is still considered the most popular path today. Unlike some of the more technical Karakoram giants, Gusher Broom 2 is often seen as one of the more approachable 8,000ers. Yet its remoteness, altitude, and unpredictable weather still pose significant challenges. Gusher Broom 2 carries with it a quieter story compared to Everest or K2, but its isolation is part of its allure. Climbers who journey here find themselves deep in the heart of the Karakoram, far from the crowds, where the only sounds are the whispering whines and the distant rumble of shifting glaciers. This solitude gives the mountain an almost sacred atmosphere. Local Balti legends tell of Gusher Broom 2 as a guardian mountain, a protector of the hidden valleys and secret trails that weave through the Karakoram. Some believe the mountain is home to spirits that safeguard ancient pathways, allowing only the respectful and the humble to pass unharmed. There are stories of travelers who encountered sudden snowstorms or vanished into the mist after failing to honor the mountain's spirit, while others, who showed reverence, found safe passage even in the most treacherous conditions. Gusher Broom too also holds a reputation among climbers as a mountain of pure experience, not for fame, not for records, but for the love of the mountains themselves. It has become a peak where many alpinists test their skills before attempting more technically demanding summits like K2 or Gusher Broom 4. Yet, those who reach its summit often describe it as a deeply personal victory, more about connection than conquest. Set against the dramatic backdrop of the Karakoram, with views stretching to the nearby giants, Gusher Broom too stands as a symbol of quiet grandeur. It invites those who wish to explore not just the heights of the earth, but also the depths of their own endurance and humility. Rising to an impressive 8,051 meters, Broad Peak is the 12th highest mountain in the world, standing tall in the mighty Karakoram range, right on the border between Pakistan and China. Its name perfectly describes its defining feature, a summit ridge that stretches over 1.5 kilometers, giving it a broad, flat-topped appearance unlike the sharp, needle-like peaks that dominate this rugged landscape. Broad Peak was first named by British explorer William Martin Conway in 1892, who was struck by the mountain's vast summit and called it exactly what he saw, a broad peak. Locally, it is known as Falcon Kangri, which carries a similar meaning. The mountain's summit ridge is so expansive that it gives climbers the feeling of walking along the roof of the world, with endless views stretching across the Karakoram. The mountain's climbing history began in 1957, when an Austrian team led by Markus Schmuck and Fritz Wintersteller achieved the first successful ascent. In an extraordinary display of alpine-style climbing, they made their way to the summit without supplemental oxygen, high-altitude porters, or fixed camps, a daring approach for the time that added to the legend of the mountain. Broad Peak is often overshadowed by its fearsome neighbor, K2, just a few kilometers away. But those who venture here quickly discover that Broad Peak demands its own respect. The mountain is known for its long, exposed ridgelines and its deceptive appearance. Many climbers have reached what they believed was the summit, only to realize they had stopped at a false peak, with the true summit still waiting, further along the ridge. Local stories speak of Broad Peak as a mountain that tests not just strength, but patience and clarity. Some Sherpa and Bolti legends say the mountain plays tricks on the mind, offering illusions of proximity and false summits to those who are too eager to reach the top. It is said that only those with steady hearts and calm spirits can see Broad Peak for what it truly is. Broad Peak is also tied to stories of brotherhood and teamwork. The mountain's long, challenging routes often require climbers to rely deeply on one another, sharing the burdens of altitude, cold, and exhaustion. Unlike the sharp, solitary climbs of other peaks, Broad Peak's vast scale seems to invite shared journeys. One of the most famous modern ascents took place in 2013, when a group of Pakistani climbers made the country's first successful winter ascent of Broad Peak, marking a historic achievement in the nation's mountaineering history. Standing under the shadow of Broad Peak, climbers and visitors alike often speak of a strange quietness, a sense of being dwarfed not by a single towering point, but by a sweeping wall of snow and rock that stretches into the distance. It is a mountain that teaches humility, focus, and the beauty of moving not toward a single goal, but across an endless horizon. Towering at 8,080 meters, Gusher Bumi is the 11th highest mountain in the world, and the highest peak in the Gusher Broom Massif, located deep within the Karakoram range on the border between Pakistan and China. This remote giant is also known as K5, a name it was given during the Great Trigonometric Survey of India in the mid-19th century. Gusher Bumi is sometimes called the Hidden Peak, a name given by British explorer William Martin Conway in 1892, because the mountain is tucked away behind layers of other towering peaks and is not immediately visible when approaching the Baltoro Glacier. This name captures the essence of the mountain: isolated, mysterious, and rarely seen except by those who venture deep into the Karakoram. The name Gusher Broom itself has long been misunderstood. Many thought it meant shining wall, perhaps inspired by the mountain's gleaming faces at sunrise. But in the Balti language, the name more accurately translates to beautiful mountain, which fits perfectly with the elegance and grandeur of the Gusher Broom peaks. The first successful ascent of Gusher Bumi came in 1958, achieved by an American expedition led by Nicholas Clinch. Their route via the Northwest Ridge was an extraordinary feat at the time, marking one of the first major American successes in the Himalayas and Karakoram. Unlike K2, with its deadly reputation, Gusher Bumi has earned quiet respect among climbers. Its routes are long and physically demanding, but they are seen as more forgiving compared to the sheer walls and ice towers of its more famous neighbor. Still, the mountain is not without danger. Rapid storms, deep crevasses, and avalanche-prone slopes challenge everyone who steps onto its flanks. Among local stories, Gusher Bumi holds a sacred presence. Balti legends speak of the mountain as a silent guardian of hidden treasures and forbidden paths. Some tales suggest that the mountain protects ancient secrets that those who climb it with arrogance may never return, while those who show humility and reverence are allowed to pass safely. There is also a belief that Gusher Bumi is the resting place of ancient mountain spirits, who favor those who climb not for fame but for the pure love of the mountains. Climbers who have spent time on Gusher Bumi often describe a deep sense of solitude, where the only company is the crunch of snow beneath their feet and the roar of the high-altitude winds. In 2012, Gusher Bumi was successfully climbed in winter for the first time by a team of Polish climbers, marking a historic achievement in the world of Himalayan mountaineering. This winter ascent was one of the last major challenges left among the 8,000-meter peaks, adding another layer of accomplishment to the mountain's story. Gusher Bumi may not attract the same crowds as Everest or K2, but perhaps that is its greatest strength. It stands as a mountain for those who are drawn to beauty, solitude, and the quiet power of the Earth's untouched places. Rising to 8,091 meters, Annapurna holds the title of the 10th highest mountain in the world, but it carries a reputation that few other peaks can match. Located in central Nepal, Annapurna is both sacred and deadly, a mountain of breathtaking beauty and relentless danger. The name Annapurna comes from the Sanskrit words meaning goddess of the harvests or the provider of food. In Hindu tradition, Annapurna is a revered goddess who is believed to nourish life and sustain the earth. The mountain that bears her name is seen by many as a symbol of generosity and abundance. Yet, paradoxically, Annapurna is also known as one of the most dangerous mountains to climb, with one of the highest fatality rates among all the 8,000ers. Annapurna entered the history books in 1950 when it became the first mountain over 8,000 meters to ever be successfully summited. French climbers Maurice Herzog and Louis Lachenal achieved this groundbreaking ascent, a moment that changed the course of Himalayan mountaineering. But their triumph came at a devastating cost. Both climbers suffered severe frostbite, resulting in the loss of fingers and toes, and the descent became a desperate struggle for survival. Herzog's account of the climb, published in his book Annapurna, became one of the most famous mountaineering stories ever told, inspiring generations of climbers but also serving as a cautionary tale of the mountain's unforgiving nature. Unlike Everest or K2, which have now seen hundreds of successful ascents, Annapurna remains elusive and treacherous. The mountain is notorious for unpredictable avalanches, unstable ice walls, and rapidly changing weather. Its south face, in particular, is one of the most technically challenging and dangerous climbs on Earth. Despite its dangers, Annapurna holds deep spiritual significance for the people of Nepal. The mountain is often seen as a living goddess, not a peak to conquer, but a divine presence to honor. Local legends tell of Annapurna as a guardian of the region's fertility, one who rewards those who show respect and punishes those who climb with arrogance. Pilgrims and trekkers in the Annapurna region often leave offerings in the goddess's name, seeking her blessing for safe passage and plentiful harvests. For climbers, Annapurna is a mountain that demands everything. It offers little room for error, and those who attempt its slopes know they are stepping into a place where the line between glory and tragedy is razor thin. Yet, beyond the statistics and the danger, Annapurna remains a mountain of mesmerizing beauty. It towers over lush valleys, terraced fields, and ancient villages, standing as a timeless bridge between heaven and earth. Annapurna is not just a mountain, it is a symbol of life, death, reverence, and risk. It calls not to the ambitious, but to the careful, the thoughtful, and those willing to listen to the silence of the goddess. Standing at 8,126 meters, Nanga Parbat is the 9th highest mountain in the world, and one of the most legendary peaks of the Himalayas. Located in the Gilgit-Baltistan region of Pakistan, Nanga Parbat is a mountain of extraordinary beauty but also one of extraordinary danger. Its name in Urdu translates to "naked mountain," referring to its steep, exposed slopes, but the local people call it Daigiri, the king of the mountains. To climbers around the world, however, Nanga Parbat has earned a far more chilling nickname, the Killer Mountain. For decades, it was known for its high fatality rate, claiming the lives of many early climbers who dared to challenge its brutal faces. The mountain's most dramatic feature is its Rupal face, which rises nearly 4,600 meters from base to summit in one continuous wall. It is considered the tallest mountain face in the world, a near-vertical sweep of rock and ice that has captured the imagination of mountaineers for generations. Nanga Parbat's climbing history is as tragic as it is heroic. In the early 20th century, it became the primary focus of German expeditions, with a series of attempts that ended in disaster. In 1934, an avalanche buried the German team led by Willy Merkel, killing 9 climbers and porters in one of the deadliest mountaineering accidents of its time. It wasn't until 1953 that Austrian climber Hermann Buhl finally reached the summit solo and without supplemental oxygen in one of the most astonishing achievements in the history of high-altitude climbing. His summit push was a nearly superhuman effort, marked by hallucinations, exhaustion, and survival against impossible odds. But Nanga Parbat's dangers did not end with Buhl's success. Decades of challenging expeditions followed, with the mountain claiming more lives and solidifying its deadly reputation. Avalanches, sudden storms, and treacherous ice walls make Nanga Parbat an unforgiving test, even for the most experienced climbers. Local legends surround Nanga Parbat with a powerful spiritual presence. In the folklore of the region, it is believed that the mountain is guarded by supernatural forces and ancient spirits who fiercely protect its flanks. Some say the mountain allows only those who approach with respect to reach its summit, while those driven by pride or haste are turned back or worse. There are stories of lost climbers whose spirits are said to still roam the slopes, forever tied to the mountain they could not conquer. Despite its violent past, Nanga Parbat remains a mountain of striking beauty. It towers above alpine meadows and sparkling lakes, its sharp ridges catching the first light of dawn in golden hues. Beneath its shadow lie ancient villages, where life has continued unchanged for centuries, always aware of the silent, watchful giant nearby. For climbers, Nanga Parbat is not just a peak, it is a confrontation with fear, nature, and the limits of human endurance. It is a mountain that demands reverence, caution, and the deepest respect, reminding all who approach it that some of nature's greatest wonders remain forever wild. Rising to 8,163 meters, Menislu is the 8th highest mountain in the world, a towering giant located in the west-central region of Nepal. Its name comes from the Sanskrit word manasa, meaning soul or spirit, and it is often called the Mountain of the Spirit. True to its name, Menislu is not only a place of physical challenge but also a mountain surrounded by deep spiritual reverence and ancient legends. Menislu's striking beauty comes from its graceful, pyramid-like summit and the dramatic ridges that sweep down to deep glacial valleys. Unlike the crowded slopes of Everest, Menislu offers a quieter, more isolated experience, where the mountain's presence feels almost sacred. The climbing history of Menislu began with a series of exploratory attempts in the 1950s, but it was in 1956 that a Japanese expedition made the first successful ascent. In fact, Menislu became known for its strong connection with Japanese climbers, as they were the ones most dedicated to unlocking its roots. Even today, the mountain holds a special place in Japan's mountaineering history. But Menislu's past is not without tragedy. In its early years, the mountain developed a dangerous reputation due to avalanches and unstable snowfields. Entire expeditions were lost to the mountain's unpredictable forces, and for many years, Menislu was considered one of the most challenging and deadly climbs. Beyond its physical dangers, Menislu is deeply tied to local myths and spiritual beliefs. The people living in the villages surrounding the mountain, particularly the Gurung and Tibetan communities, believe that Menislu is inhabited by powerful deities. Local legends speak of a guardian spirit who watches over the mountain, rewarding those who show humility and punishing those who approach with pride or disrespect. One story tells of an early expedition that disrespected local customs, leading to an avalanche that the villagers believed was a punishment from the mountain itself. Since then, climbers have been careful to perform local rituals before attempting Menislu, asking for safe passage and protection from the spirits that guard its slopes. Unlike the more commercialized 8000ers, Menislu has kept much of its untouched charm. It is surrounded by ancient monasteries, peaceful forests, and traditional mountain villages where time seems to stand still. The Menislu Circuit Trek offers a breathtaking journey around the mountain, allowing trekkers to experience the majestic landscapes and the rich cultural heritage of the region without stepping into the world of high-altitude summits. Menislu continues to attract climbers who seek something beyond glory. It draws those who are looking for solitude, for a connection to the earth, and for an encounter with the spirit of the mountain itself. In the soft morning light, when its summit glows above the clouds, Menislu reminds us that the mountains are not just places to conquer, but sacred spaces to understand and to respect. Towering at 8,167 meters, Dhaulagiri holds its place as the seventh highest mountain in the world and stands as one of the most striking peaks in the Himalayas of Nepal. Its name, derived from Sanskrit, means the White Mountain, a perfect description of its gleaming, snow-covered slopes that rise sharply into the sky. Dhaulagiri commands attention, not just for its height, but for its dramatic isolation. Unlike many Himalayan peaks that are part of tight mountain clusters, Dhaulagiri rises in near solitude, separated by deep valleys and massive glaciers. For many years, it was considered the highest mountain in the world, until surveys confirmed the towering presence of higher peaks like Kangchenjunga and Everest. The mountain was first successfully climbed in 1960 by a Swiss-Austrian expedition. The ascent was groundbreaking, not only because it conquered one of the last unclimbed 8000ers at the time, but because it involved the use of an airplane to establish supply drops, an innovative, though risky, technique in the early days of high-altitude exploration. Climbers quickly learned that Dhaulagiri was not to be underestimated. The mountain is known for its steep slopes, avalanche-prone faces, and harsh weather conditions. Its notorious south face is particularly dangerous, with massive ice walls and unstable seracs that have claimed many lives. Even today, the mountain maintains a reputation for being one of the more treacherous and unpredictable giants of the Himalayas. But Dhaulagiri is not just a physical challenge, it is a mountain deeply woven into local myths and spiritual beliefs. In Nepali culture, it is often seen as a sacred, untouchable place. Some local communities believe that the mountain is home to powerful guardian spirits that must be honored before any attempt to climb its slopes. There are stories that speak of Dhaulagiri's unpredictable moods, suggesting that the mountain tests the hearts and intentions of those who approach. Legends tell of a hidden valley beyond Dhaulagiri, a place of refuge known as Bayul. In Tibetan and Himalayan mythology, a Bayul is a sacred, hidden land where people can find peace and sanctuary in times of great suffering. Some believe this secret valley lies somewhere in the shadow of Dhaulagiri, protected by the mountain itself and invisible to those who are not spiritually pure. The Kali Gandaki Gorge, which flows near Dhaulagiri, is considered the deepest gorge in the world and adds another layer of grandeur to the landscape. It forms a powerful contrast, the deepest gorge beside one of the world's tallest peaks, creating a region of profound natural beauty and spiritual weight. Dhaulagiri remains a mountain that does not easily reveal its secrets. It is a place of harsh beauty and quiet majesty, a peak that commands both fear and respect. For those who gaze upon its shining slopes or dare to climb its ridges, Dhaulagiri stands as a timeless symbol of the power, mystery, and sacredness of the high Himalayas. Standing at 8,188 meters, Cho Oyu is the sixth highest mountain in the world, gracefully marking the border between Nepal and Tibet. Unlike some of the more fearsome Himalayan peaks, Cho Oyu is often seen as one of the most approachable of the 8,000ers. Yet behind its reputation for relative accessibility lies a mountain rich in beauty, history, and sacred meaning. The name Cho Oyu means Turquoise Goddess in Tibetan, a name inspired by the mountain's soft blue-green hue, especially at dawn and dusk when the snow reflects the changing sky. For centuries, local people have believed that Cho Oyu is not just a mountain, but a living goddess, gentle, welcoming, and protective. Cho Oyu's climbing history began with a milestone achievement in 1954, when an Austrian team made the first successful ascent. Unlike the technical difficulties posed by Everest or K2, Cho Oyu offered a more straightforward route, which has since made it one of the most frequently climbed 8,000ers. Its gentler slopes and relatively safer terrain have attracted climbers seeking high-altitude experience, often calling it the beginner's 8,000er. But this does not mean that Cho Oyu is easy. The mountain still rises to extreme altitudes where the air is dangerously thin, and the weather can shift without warning. Climbing Cho Oyu requires endurance, skill, and a deep respect for the mountain's power. Cho Oyu is closely linked to the trade and spiritual routes that have connected Nepal and Tibet for centuries. It sits near the Nanga Pass, an ancient passage used by traders, pilgrims, and Tibetan refugees. Stories from the region speak of Cho Oyu as a quiet guardian, watching over these travelers as they cross the high Himalayan passes. Some say that the mountain spirit offers safe passage to those who travel with pure hearts and humble intentions. Among local myths, Cho Oyu is often described as a peaceful goddess who contrasts with her more tempestuous siblings. While Everest is seen as proud and towering, Cho Oyu is considered compassionate and serene. This belief is reflected in the way many climbers experience the mountain as a place of calm, spacious glaciers, and wide, open views, rather than narrow, aggressive ridges. Despite its calmer reputation, Cho Oyu has witnessed its share of hardships. There have been tragic accidents, fierce storms, and avalanches that remind everyone that even the gentlest of giants commands deep respect. Beyond the climbing world, Cho Oyu is part of the breathtaking Himalayan skyline that frames the sacred valleys and monasteries of the region. To the Sherpa and Tibetan people, the mountain is not simply an obstacle to be overcome but a sacred presence that shapes the land and life around it. Cho Oyu continues to draw climbers and trekkers from around the world, not just for the challenge of its summit, but for the quiet majesty it offers. It stands as a symbol of balance, powerful yet peaceful, vast yet approachable, a turquoise goddess resting among the clouds. Rising to an impressive 8,485 meters, Makalu is the fifth highest mountain in the world. Towering on the border between Nepal and Tibet, just 19 kilometers southeast of Everest, Makalu stands apart with its distinctive, sharp pyramid shape. Unlike the more rounded giants nearby, Makalu cuts the sky with steep ridges and razor-sharp angles, earning it a reputation as one of the most beautiful, yet most formidable, peaks in the Himalayas. The name Makalu comes from the Sanskrit word Mahakala, which means Great Black. In Buddhist tradition, Mahakala is one of the fierce protective deities, a guardian of time and destruction, but also of ultimate wisdom. The mountain's dark granite faces and towering presence seem to perfectly embody this powerful name. Makalu's climbing history began with many failed attempts, as the mountain's steep slopes and technical challenges proved overwhelming. It wasn't until 1955 that a French expedition, led by Jean Franco, made the first successful ascent. What made this climb unique was the team's spirit of unity. Unlike the usual race to send just one or two climbers to the top, the French team ensured that 10 climbers reached the summit over the course of several days, a remarkable feat of cooperation in an era often dominated by individual glory. Makalu quickly earned a reputation as a technically demanding mountain. Its steep pitches, exposed ridges, and knife-edge summit make it one of the most challenging of all the 8,000ers. The final ascent requires delicate navigation of sharp rock and ice, and the mountain's weather is notoriously unforgiving. Local Sherpa and Tibetan legends tell of Makalu as a mountain of great spiritual strength. It is said to be a place where the spirits of the mountains test the intentions of those who approach. Some stories speak of a guardian who protects the mountain, allowing passage only to those who come with humility and genuine purpose. There are even tales of climbers who turned back, not because of storms or exhaustion, but because they felt an overwhelming sense of warning from the mountain itself. Makalu is also closely tied to the geography of the Barun Valley, a place of extraordinary natural beauty that remains largely untouched by modern development. The valley, with its waterfalls, dense forests, and rare wildlife, is considered sacred by the local people. Many believe the valley and the mountain together form a hidden sanctuary, protected not just by distance, but by spiritual forces. Though Makalu may not draw the same crowds as Everest, it commands deep respect among the climbing community. It is a peak that tests both skill and patience, offering no easy paths and no false promises. The mountain's sharp lines and remote location have preserved its quiet majesty. For those who gaze upon Makalu, either from its base or from distant valleys, it stands as a powerful symbol, a mountain of dark stone and silent strength, watching over the Himalayas with fierce, ancient wisdom. Standing at 8,516 meters, Lhotse is the fourth highest mountain in the world, a towering giant that rises just south of Mount Everest. Its name means South Peak in Tibetan, reflecting its position in the shadow of its more famous neighbor. But Lhotse is far more than Everest's companion. It is a mountain with its own character, its own challenges, and its own untold stories. Lhotse is connected to Everest by the South Col, a high saddle that climbers pass on their way to the world's highest summit. Because of this close connection, many people overlook Lhotse, yet those who know the mountain understand its unique beauty and its silent, powerful presence. The first successful ascent of Lhotse came in 1956. Achieved by a Swiss expedition. Though it shares much of the route with Everest in the early stages, Lhotse's upper sections diverge into something entirely its own, particularly the infamous Lhotse Face, a near-vertical wall of blue ice that looms over climbers on both peaks. The face is one of the most demanding stretches in Himalayan climbing, where even the most experienced mountaineers must dig deep into their skills and endurance. But what sets Lhotse apart is its south face, one of the steepest and most dangerous walls on Earth. This sheer, dramatic rise of rock and ice has defeated some of the world's best climbers and has seen only a few successful ascents. The south face stands as one of the ultimate challenges in high-altitude mountaineering, where exposure, avalanches, and unforgiving terrain offer no room for error. Local legends among the Sherpa people tell of Lhotse as a quiet guardian. While Everest is often seen as the prideful mountain that attracts global attention, Lhotse is described as more reserved, a giant that holds its power in silence. Some Sherpa stories say that Lhotse is the resting place of ancient mountain spirits who prefer peace over glory and who allow passage only to those who approach with humility and care. Climbers often describe a special connection with Lhotse. Unlike the crowds that now fill Everest's popular routes, those who ascend Lhotse often find themselves alone in the upper reaches of the mountain. There is a rare solitude on Lhotse's final slopes, where the silence is broken only by the wind and the crunch of ice beneath their boots. In 2000, 2011, the Lhotse couloir, the final steep gully leading to the summit, was climbed in a record-fast push by Uli Steck, one of the most skilled speed climbers in the world. His remarkable ascent reminded the climbing community that Lhotse is not just a side note to Everest, but a mountain of enormous technical merit. Today, Lhotse continues to attract climbers who seek not just height, but challenge, beauty, and a quieter path. It stands as a mountain for those who look beyond fame, or those who value the journey as much as the summit. Lhotse, the silent neighbor of Everest, rises with strength, grace, and enduring mystery, a mountain that quietly watches over the world's highest peaks. Rising to 8,586 meters, Kangchenjunga is the third highest mountain in the world, straddling the border between Nepal and India. It is not just a mountain, it is a sacred presence, a living symbol deeply woven into the spiritual and cultural fabric of the region. The name Kangchenjunga means the five treasures of the snow, referring to its five majestic summits, which are believed to represent the treasures of the gods: gold, silver, gems, grain, and sacred scriptures. The local people in both Nepal and India hold Kangchenjunga in the highest reverence, considering it the home of protective mountain deities. Unlike Everest or K2, Kangchenjunga has been carefully protected from excessive human intrusion. The people of the Sikkim region in India and the Taplajung district of Nepal believe that the summit of Kangchenjunga is sacred and must remain untouched. In fact, the first climbers to reach its peak in 1955, a British team led by Joe Brown and George Band, stopped just a few meters short of the true summit to honor the local beliefs. This tradition continues today, with most climbers stopping just short of the top out of respect for the mountain's spiritual significance. Kangchenjunga is not just physically massive, it is also emotionally overwhelming. It is famous for its dramatic ridgelines, remote valleys, and some of the most challenging terrain in the Himalayas. Fierce storms, avalanches, and the sheer scale of its faces have earned Kangchenjunga a reputation as one of the most dangerous mountains in the world. Fewer climbers attempt it compared to Everest or K2, and the mountain's wild, untamed character continues to demand deep humility. Among the rich stories surrounding Kangchenjunga, one of the most intriguing is the legend of the Kangchenjunga demon, or Dzona, a mysterious, yeti-like creature said to roam the remote slopes and forests surrounding the mountain. Locals have passed down tales for generations of strange sightings, footprints in the snow, and eerie sounds carried on the wind. Even some early European explorers reported encounters with unusual tracks during their expeditions. The mountain is also central to the region's deep spiritual traditions. For the Limbu people of Nepal, Kangchenjunga is a sacred guardian, and for the Buddhist communities in Sikkim, it is a symbol of protection and prosperity. Prayer flags flutter across the trails leading toward the mountain, and small stone shrines mark places where travelers stop to offer prayers for safe passage. Despite its towering height, Kangchenjunga remains largely untouched by mass tourism. Its remote location and challenging approach routes keep the mountain as a place for those seeking true adventure and profound connection with nature. is more than a mountain, it is a keeper of ancient treasures, a guardian of sacred spaces, and a symbol of harmony between humans and the natural world. Its snow-covered peaks rise not just above the landscape, but above the boundary between the physical and the spiritual. Standing at 8,611 meters, K2 is the second highest mountain in the world, and arguably the most dangerous. Located in the Karakoram range on the border between Pakistan and China, K2 is known by climbers around the world as the Savage Mountain. Unlike Everest, which has become accessible to many, K2 remains a place of brutal isolation, raw power, and unforgiving beauty. The mountain was first surveyed as K2 during the Great Trigonometric Survey of British India. Unlike many peaks that carry local names, K2 never earned one from nearby communities because it is so remote that few local people ever approached its slopes. Some call it Kokarai, which loosely means the King of Mountains, but to most of the world, it is simply K2, a cold, mathematical designation that reflects its austere character. K2 was first climbed in 1954 by an Italian expedition led by Ardito Decio, with climbers Achille Campanoni and Lino Lastelli reaching the summit. It was a monumental achievement, but like much of K2's history, the victory was surrounded by hardship, struggle, and later, controversy about the expedition's internal conflicts. K2 has a fearsome reputation. It is considered one of the deadliest mountains on Earth. Its steep slopes, frequent avalanches, treacherous ice falls, and rapidly changing weather make every step a fight for survival. For decades, K2's fatality rate hovered around 1 in 4 climbers, a grim reminder of the mountain's ruthlessness. Unlike Everest, K2 offers no easy way up. Every route demands skill, patience, and an acceptance of extreme risk. K2's weather is notoriously unpredictable. Clear skies can vanish within minutes, replaced by hurricane-force winds and blinding snow. Many climbers have been trapped by storms, and entire expeditions have disappeared without a trace. For this reason, K2 is often referred to as the climber's mountain, a place where only the most experienced and determined dare to go. Beyond its physical dangers, K2 is surrounded by powerful local legends. The Bulti people believe that the mountain is protected by spirits that test the hearts of those who approach. Some say that those who climb with arrogance are doomed to fail, while those who climb with respect may be granted safe passage. There are stories of strange lights, vanishing figures, and omens that appear to those who linger too long near the mountain. K2's legacy is built on moments of triumph and tragedy. One of the darkest chapters came in 2008, when an avalanche near the summit led to the deaths of 11 climbers in a single day, one of the worst disasters in mountaineering history. The mountain remains a brutal teacher, offering no shortcuts, no forgiveness, and no margin for error. Yet despite its reputation, K2 draws climbers from around the world, not for fame, but for the purest form of challenge. It stands as the ultimate test of endurance, courage, and respect for nature's power. K2 is not just a mountain, it is a force. It rises from the Karakoram like a dark, silent monument to the raw, untamed heart of the earth, a place where the line between life and death is always just a single step away. Rising to 8,848.86 meters, Mount Everest is the highest mountain on Earth, a towering symbol of nature's grandeur and human ambition. Known locally as Sagarmathy in Nepal, meaning Goddess of the Sky, and Komaluma in Tibet, meaning Goddess Mother of the World, Everest holds a sacred place in the hearts of the people who live in its shadow. Long before Everest became the ultimate goal for explorers and climbers, it was revered as a divine presence. The Sherpa people believe the mountain is home to a powerful goddess who demands respect and humility. Even today, many climbers participate in traditional puja ceremonies at base camp, offering prayers and asking for safe passage, aware that on Everest, nature decides who is allowed to pass. The mountain was first surveyed as Peak 15 during the Great Trigonometric Survey of India and later named Mount Everest in honor of Sir George Everest, the British Surveyor General. For decades, Everest was an almost unreachable dream, protected by political barriers, harsh weather, and the sheer scale of the challenge. The first successful ascent came in 1953, when Sir Edmund Hillary of New Zealand and Tenzing Norgay, a Sherpa of Nepal, stood together on the summit. Their achievement is one of the greatest stories of human perseverance, but it was more than just a physical conquest. It was a moment that connected two cultures, two men, and the entire world in shared awe. Since then, Everest has attracted climbers from all walks of life, from elite mountaineers to those driven by personal dreams. The mountain has inspired acts of courage, but also scenes of tragedy. Extreme altitude, known as the death zone, where oxygen levels cannot support human life, has claimed many lives. Harsh storms, avalanches, crevasses, and exhaustion turn every climb into a race against time. Over the years, Everest has become a place of both triumph and controversy. Commercial expeditions have opened the mountain to more people, but this has led to overcrowding, environmental concerns, and debates about the true meaning of adventure. Despite these modern challenges, Everest's spiritual weight remains. For the Sherpa and Tibetan communities, it is not simply a peak to be conquered, but a sacred realm to be respected. Local stories tell of mountain gods who watch over climbers, and some believe that each storm, each sudden shift of weather, is the mountain's way of reminding people that it will never truly belong to us. Everest is a mountain of duality, a place of unmatched beauty and extreme risk, a goal that brings out both the best and the most reckless in human nature. It stands above the clouds, a silent guardian of the Himalayas, calling out to those who dare to test themselves against the very limits of life. For some, Everest is the ultimate achievement. For others, it is a spiritual journey. But for all, it is a reminder that even in a world of technology and progress, there are still places where nature's power reigns supreme.